The Mage class in Terraria comprises of using a massive variety of spell tomes, wands, magic guns, and everything in between. Mages grow a lot in power during their adventure, but what if we did something crazy and break the class completely? How's it going, crew? This is HappyDays, and today we're going to see how overpowered you can make the Mage class in Terraria. It's been over 5 years since the first OP Mage video, so today we're looking at all the new OP weapons, armor, and updates for the Mage class. As always, I'll display all the usual rules on screen. Basically, we'll be farming, looting, and crafting the absolute best mage equipment available at several major stages of the game to get completely overpowered. If you're hyped to get totally overpowered in Terraria, help me out by smashing that like button. With all that said, let's get this crazy challenge started. Our journey begins with the guide behaving themselves as the local slimes let me destroy the beautiful forest in peace. Similar to summoners, we can't craft a mage starter weapon from wood, so I'll rely on a wooden broadsword for now, and of course I get the legendary modifier on my first try when I'm not doing the OP melee video. Still, the sword comes in handy as the vicious pinky attacks. I flail around hopelessly before attempting to contain the bouncing menace in the worst mob trap I've ever made. With the slimes dealt with, I start building some prime real estate opportunities for the local townsfolk to be eternally trapped while I force them to buy all my junk items. In particular, we need the merchant who sells mana potions and the demolitionist for block removal spheres of destruction. With our starter base set up, it's time to start looting underground. We find an early wand of sparking, which isn't the strongest mage weapon, but it can apply the on fire debuff for extra damage. As always, we're on the lookout for life crystals, bombs, gems, as well as silt. Silt can be run through an extractinator to get gems, which are very useful to mages to make powerful gem weapons and armor. Things were going pretty well until I step onto a pressure plate and drop all my precious gold coins. I then think it's a great idea to take on a wall creeper, but get overconfident and it eats my soul. After rescuing my money again, we return to base to buy a pig, mining helmet, and mana potions from the merchant and exploding objects from the demolitionist. I then craft a lead pick, chainmail, as well as a topaz gem hook for increased mobility. Before our next mission, I'd like to get started with our mana star farm. I like to make a simple sky bridge using wooden platforms so each night I can quickly run back and forward grabbing fallen stars. Did you know most classes except summoners can get a nice upgrade from the Crimson early in the game? That's right, I'm going to try my luck and see if we can snag a Crimson Rod. The Crimson Rod is a mage weapon that casts a stationary cloud that rains damaging droplets on enemies and makes it a very useful boss weapon. I charge straight for the Crimson Hearts, however, as it's expert mode and fighting the enemies here is certain doom, and with incredible luck our prize drops. I decide to smash a third heart while I'm here and get a second Crimson Rod with a better modifier before the Brain of Cthulhu tears our character to pieces. Our next goal is to get our first gem wand and gem robes so we can explore the tougher biomes. This will increase our damage output and mana capacity, allowing me to better defend myself and get rid of this nasty wooden sword. After playing with some exploding sticky spheres, I forget it's not the best idea to place them near me and almost become a pancake, but a nice slime breaks my fall. We snag a few life crystals and then get a lucky find with a lucky cloud in a bottle, which will be huge as mobility will be important for the OP glass cannon we're about to become. I almost explode to a dead man's chest after missing one of the dynamite and then take a quick lava bath to grab some crimtane ore. Back at base, the traveling merchant interrupts my loot sorting, but I'm glad he did because with incredible luck he has the magic hat for sale. A little bit later, with all my loot sorted, it's time for some upgrades. I craft a ruby wand, a gold pickaxe, a pair of silver greaves, and a silver axe. I then head to the loom and craft a ruby robe which boosts our mana by 60, allowing me to blast more enemies with our powerful magic. Now we're a bit stronger, I decide to try my luck raiding the underground desert. I blast my way in, excited to explore for more loot, and I'm dead. Okay, it's alright. This totally isn't a bad sign for what's to come. I keep exploring downwards, almost die again, find the golfer, and just when I think I'm doing well, I die again because the underground desert is pure suffering. If you didn't know, the Storm Spear, Thunder Zapper, and Bar Statue are found towards the bottom of the underground desert, so if you're having trouble finding them, that's where you need to look. And that's where I looked, and I find the Thunder Zapper and Bar Statue living right next to each other. I push my luck a little too far, and just as we snag another life crystal, I get deleted once again. A while later, while sorting my items, the goblins decide to invade, which gives me the perfect opportunity to try out my new Thunder Zapper. I start out by casting a Crimson Cloud and then using our Wand of Sparking to apply the On Fire debuff to the evil goblins before blasting them with our Ruby Wand and Thunder Zapper. The archers hit hard though, and I have to keep my distance to avoid the arrows constantly flying in my direction. Eventually I find a rhythm, however, and bunch the goblins up and then blast them with a barrage of rain, fire, and wand blasts until I finally send them running for their lives. With the goblins defeated, it's time to smash our way through the jungle for a Nature's Gift and a pair of jungle pants. The Nature's Gift is used to craft the mana flower, which allows mages to auto-use mana potions in battle to keep our damage nice and high. The jungle pants are part of the jungle armor, which is a strong mage set early in the game if you can survive long enough to farm the items it needs. I even find the goblin tinkerer and quickly rescue him and buy the rocket boots, but I can't afford the tinkerer's workstation yet. He then thanks me for rescuing him by giving me a bad modifier on my crimson rod. You suck, goblin. Now for the painful part, trying to find the Nature's Gift gift as I stare at the ground while enemies repeatedly destroy me. It's not all bad, however. I find some obsidian while I'm searching, which I'll eventually need, plus all this exploring is finding me even more life crystals. 5 years later, a little blue flower catches my eye as I almost run past it, and we finally find the nature's gift. It's time to sort our mountain of loot and get some upgrades. Our next weapon will require some luck, so I camp out a nearby giant tree until a gnome offers to join our party by permanently turning itself to stone. With the goblin moved in, I sell a bunch of loot to him and buy the Tinkerer's workstation and upgrade our Hermes boots to Spectre's boots before crafting 3 more mana stars to boost our MP even higher. Whilst the jungle armor won't increase our damage, it will give me 7 more defense and reduce our mana cost slightly, making it more than worth it. We're heading to the underworld next to hunt demons, so it's time to dig a elevator, so I'm going to speed this up for your viewing pleasure. I do make a quick detour into a glowing mushroom biome as we'll need some mushrooms to craft a mana flower soon. Arriving in the underworld, I get to work making a battle platform and place our gnome and bar statue as I'm about to grind for the demon scythe. The demon scythe is a powerful magic weapon that has just under a 3% chance to drop from demons in the underworld, but I don't even get to set up my farm properly before a demon goes and drops the demon scythe. How rude. Well, you know that's not going to stop me making a mob farm, but it ends suddenly when I take a nice hot lava bath. Our next mission will be taking us on a world tour for 3 powerful mage accessories, the celestial cuffs, magnet flower, and the mana regeneration band. I start by crafting the flesh catcher rod and then processing all the fossils and silt we've collected so far. These can drop amber to make crate potions and platinum ore to craft the diamond staff, which is the strongest gem staff available. Next, I chug a gravitation potion and take to the skies to find floating islands. I need 2 celestial magnets for all my mage crafting, but unfortunately as we're in a small world, I already know there won't be enough skyware chests, so I'm looking for a floating lake to make a fishing spot. I fight off the harpy swarms and make a quick fishing spot and a quick trip back to base to craft a toilet and harpy-proof the location later as I get fishing. As I fish, I open the other crates to keep my supply of bait going strong, and although it takes a while, I eventually get 5 sky crates. I spam them all open, and with amazing luck, we actually get more magnets than we need, which means it's time to head underground. Before I can even set up my next fishing spot, Tim appears and tries to destroy me. Tim is a rare mob that drops the wizard hat, and he's more likely to appear if you're wearing some gem robes. I quickly take him out and snag the wizard hat for a nice boost to our magic damage. We've almost done everything a mage can do before their first boss, but there's a few last items we need, so I head straight to the Crimson for our next mission. I smash some more Crimson hearts looking for a panic necklace, which I'll need to make the mana regeneration band. Thankfully, the necklace drops, but not in time to save me from another Brain of Cthulhu, which quickly puts an end to my suffering. And next, I set up a quick fishing spot to grab some armored cavefish, crimson tigerfish, and hemo piranhas to make endurance, heart reach, and rage potions to boost our power even further. And I also forgot I needed a second panic necklace, and of course I died to another Cthulhu. Back at base, it's time to craft our mage accessories. I start by placing some of the many tombstones I've collected to create a graveyard biome and make 2 bands of star power. Then I craft 2 mana regeneration bands, a mana flower, and upgrade it to a magnet flower, and make some magic cuffs and upgrade them to celestial cuffs. And we're up to the Terra Spark boots part of the video. You all know the deal by now. All the items for the Terra Spark boots can either be crafted, looted, or purchased, and as every class uses them and it's always the same, here's an image instead of showing all the pain I'm about to go through to get them. With all the components of the Terra Spark boots acquired, there's 2 last minute things we need to do, so I get comfy in my stylish outdoor bedroom and have a nice nap. First, I wait for a blood moon to spawn. As always, I want to get the powerful shark tooth necklace for that sweet 5 points of armor penetration. We even snag a money trough, which is nice to have for that flying piggy goodness. Next, it's time for some pain as I need to get the mystic robe from the traveling merchant. The mystic robe is the best mage armor available at this stage of the game when paired with the wizard hat, so I'm at the complete mercy of the evil merchant. All this waiting has given me time to prepare, however, as I craft a magical fly meal, yes, it's a magic weapon now, and magically remove the hat from the merchant as I know exactly what to do next. I head to the ether to convert a bunch of items into the vital crystal, arcane crystal, ambrosia, gummy worm, and galaxy pearl, and I'll put an image on screen with all the boosts they give. Then while grinding for a second shark tooth necklace, I get the incredibly rare Spiffo plush for a new pet, but I don't notice the necklace dropped at the same time. Don't worry, I eventually notice it. About 5 hours of waiting later, as my sanity is waning, I fire some warning shots at the merchant's direction, and he quickly decides to finally sell me the mystic robe. Heading back underground, I bump into the skeleton merchant who sells me a second wand of sparking, which is useful as there's an upgrade we can craft for it. I'm about to need a ton of cash for all the reforging we're about to do, so I grab all the loot and ore I can find to give to the evil goblin tinkerer. Back at base, I craft a wand of frosting and an obsidian skull before finally maxing out my mana. I then start upgrading our spectre boots all the way to the almighty Terra Spark boots. Next, I sell the mountains of loot I've collected so far before visiting the goblin tinkerer to get some OP modifiers on all our equipment. All that's left is to craft some buff potions as stage 1 is complete. The first stage is always the biggest with a ton of power-ups available, so let's see what our OP mage achieved pre-hard mode without fighting a single boss. We have the demon scythe, diamond staff, and thunder zapper Zapper, all with the mythical modifiers. We also have our side weapons, the Crimson Rod and Wands of Frosting and Sparking with the demonic modifiers. We've gone total glass cannon armor with the Wizard Hat, Mystic Robe, and Jungle Pants, which gives us a huge boosted damage and critical strikes. Finally, we've got the Magnet Flower, Celestial Cuffs, and Mana Regen Band, all with the lucky modifier to keep our mage constantly blasting enemies with tons of mana. And before you all commented, let's give an honorable mention to the Water Bolt. On some worlds, this post-Skeletron weapon might just spawn near enough to the top of the dungeon to grab before the Dungeon Guardian eats you, but in the spirit of this challenge, I'm leaving it out at this stage of the game. Stage 2 is here, and we can access everything up to the Wall of Flesh battle. With the bee charging me, I use my Wand of Frosting and Demon Sight to deal some heavy damage to the Royal Pain. Our Thunder Zapper is excellent for when the bee switches to its rapid hovering phase, as the Zapper's speedy projectiles easily keep up with the agile bee. The poor boss can barely scratch our OP mage, and soon enough we send it crashing to the ground. I quickly tear open the treasure bag, and it's our lucky day as the bee gun drops first try, as well as the guaranteed hive pack for a nice damage combo. And as always, I almost forget to grab a honeycomb accessory from the bee to upgrade my shark tooth necklace, so another destroyed bee later, I grab my prize. Next, I want to improve our mage armor, and to do that, I'll need to get a meteorite to spawn, which requires taking out the Brain of Cthulhu. With an arena set up, I smash some more Crimson Hearts and summon another brain as the fight begins. Our new bee gun and hive pack are excellent for dealing with the army of creepers while I focus on dodging. I use our Wand of Frosting to mark the real boss as the second phase begins, and then use our speedy Thunder Zapper and more bees to blast the brain to pieces. The brain didn't stand a chance as it explodes, and I grab a Brain of Confusion for my troubles. I swing past base as I see a meteorite fall in the distance to upgrade my shark tooth necklace to a stinger necklace. It's also a good opportunity to upgrade to a Deathbringer pickaxe before heading back out. The next morning, I find a meteor has crashed into the desert cavern opening, but thankfully I don't need a ton of ore anyway, so I get busy mining. If you're wondering why I only want the meteor leggings and not the whole set, it's because the meteor set only adds a little bit of damage but loses a ton of crit rate over our current armor. Back at base, I check the traveling merchant for the Grey Zappinator, but of course he doesn't have it, before converting our ore into bars. Then I craft the meteor leggings, space gun, and meteor ham axe before heading to the dungeon to take on Skeletron. With my arena prepared, I speak to the old man and break the curse as Skeletron attacks. I start the battle by casting a Crimson Cloud and summon a swarm of bees to work on Skeletron's hands, while I do my best to try and get myself killed by running into the boss repeatedly. Eventually, I settle into a rhythm of using the Space Gun and Thunder Zapper while the skull flies around, and the Wand of Frosting and Demon Scythe when it charges me for some huge damage. Soon enough, the skull explodes into bone nuggets as I open the treasure bag and not only get the Book of Skulls, but it comes with the best possible modifier. We kick off the dungeon by rescuing the mechanic, almost dying in a pit of spikes, and then using my first gold key to save the useless Elder Slime. Because this chest haunts me until I save it. I achieve one of my main goals of finding the Shadow Key in a gold chest. The Shadow Key is extremely useful as it unlocks some powerful mage weapons in the underworld. A short time later, I find the Aquaceptor, which can pierce up to 5 enemies, making it excellent for fighting hordes of mobs. My luck runs out, however, when a Skeletron drops on my head while I'm distracted shoving items in a flying pig. I continue looting and grab a bunch more mage weapons, including a magic missile and of course the extremely powerful Water Bolt. There's another side weapon I'd like to pick up that I normally don't use, and it requires crafting a deer thing and a crimson altar. That's right, our next goal is to get the Weather Pane from the Deerclops in the snow biome. The Weather Pane casts a magic tornado that homes in on enemies and has 10 points of armor penetration, and I'm excited to try it out. The Deerclops is a tricky boss as it becomes invulnerable if you move too far away from it, but it deals a lot of nasty debuffs if you stay too close to it. I do find a sweet spot where I can kind of avoid most of its attacks while keeping the damage piling on. Our new Book of Skulls is MVP for the fight, as the homing skulls work nicely against the slow-moving boss. Unfortunately, the first boss doesn't drop our prize, but a while later I take down a second one and the Weather Pane is ours. We've almost got every OP mage upgrade available before the Wall of Flesh, with one of our last missions being looting the shadow chests in the underworld. The Flower of Fire drops from our first shadow chest, and I smash all the pots I can along the way for lots of cash and useful potions. Many chests later, just as I'm wondering if we'll even find the Flame Lash, it appears in the next chest for a powerful upgrade to our magic missile. I've got a lot of reforging ahead of me, so I drink an obsidian skin potion and dive into the lava to mine all the hellstone ore I can get my hands on to sell. And now the pain begins as I have to wait for yet another traveling merchant to spawn to buy our last upgrade, the Grey Zappinator. I must have spawned about 20 different merchants before he finally spawns again, and I fire some warning skulls at him before he sells me the Zappinator out of fear. I'm about to need a ton of cash for reforging, so I use all my suspicious looking eyes to try out our new Zappinator on the Eye of Cthulhu and deal some crazy damage for this stage of the game as the eye gets vaporized. The next morning, all that's left is to sell a bunch of the hellstone I've been mining, as well as our loot, upgrade our equipment with the Greedy Goblin, and restock all our buff potions as stage 2 is complete. This stage went much quicker than the first one, but we got some powerful upgrades with the Aquaceptor, Grey Zappinator, and Flower of Fire. I've also decided to pair the Stinger and Shark Tooth necklace necklaces together as I smash through an extra 10 points of enemy defense for some huge damage. Stage 3 is here and it's time to get totally OP in hard mode, and that begins by fighting the wall of flesh. With our camera zoomed out so I can see the giant wall, I start by casting a crimson cloud and tornado before launching a swarm of bees at the hungries. I then spend the fight rotating through our flower of fire, demon scythe, and aquaceptor, which deal with the hungries whilst also smashing the wall for some massive damage. With the wall almost destroyed, I line up some blasts with our new Zappinator and explode the monstrosity into flesh confetti. I quickly open the treasure bag and happily see the sorcerer emblem for a 15% damage boost, and because we're in expert mode, I use the demon heart and equip it straight away. I farm a few more walls, die but my bees avenge me, and finally get the laser rifle for our troubles. Now we're in hard mode, we can get some massively OP weapons, and it started raining, which means I can hopefully get a few of them right now. I set up a fishing spot in the Hollow Desert as there's two weapons I want to get my hands on, the Crystal Serpent and the Nimbus Rod. So get this, I'm having fun, setting up my farm, ready for a nice farming session, and an angry Nimbus has got the gall to drop the Nimbus Rod on the first try. To add to the fun, a sandstorm decides to start, and I'm immediately destroyed by a Dune Splicer. I am not ready for this. After grabbing some buffs, I try to set up an arena mid-sandstorm as the mobs have fun killing me. Our goal is the Sand Elemental that is guaranteed to drop forbidden fragments that we need for some weapon and armor upgrades. Thanks to our new Nimbus Rod, I discover if I grapple to a wooden platform, the Sand Elemental hovers just above my head, allowing me to kinda slowly take them out, avoiding the mobs below. The sandstorm ends just as I get the 3 fragments I need, so I finally get to work filling in the fishing spot, ready for some relaxing fishing. While searching for fish, I'm catching lots of crates, which means I might be able to skip hard mode ore mining completely if I can get enough of them. A few days later, as my mind is going numb, the pink serpent launches from the water as I excitedly start blasting pixies with its power. 5 years of fishing later, I return to base to bust open all my crates and get just enough materials to craft an orichalcum anvil and an adamantite forge. I then craft the adamantite headgear and forbidden treads, which are the highest damage armor combo I can make at this stage. Just as I'm heading out, I also craft the meteor staff, which will be useful against the mech bosses. The next morning, I was called back to base by the traveling merchant, and with incredible luck, he has the orange Zappinator, so thankfully that saved me a ton of waiting. A lot of our next upgrades require souls of light and night, so I begin by visiting the underground crimson biome. We also find the wizard, so I quickly rescue him and buy a crystal ball, spell tome, ice wand, and some greater mana potions. Okay, I see you typing those comments. Don't worry guys, I'll rescue the tavern keep as well. Next I need to get a desert spirit lamp from Desert Spirits. I find a spirit but die immediately. It only has a 2.5% drop chance, so as you can imagine, I die a bunch fighting in this enclosed space. About 3 years later, the lamp finally drops, so it's onto the underground hallow. I really don't need too much from the hallow, just some crystal shards and some souls of light. And more death, because apparently I need to suffer in this challenge. Back at base, it's time for some upgrades. I start by crafting the Sky Fracture and Spirit Flame for a nice damage boost, as well as the Palladium Pickaxe. We then craft a Golden Shower at the bookcase, which allows me to inflict the Ichor debuff for a whopping 15 points of armor penetration. Next, I upgrade to some super mana potions before crafting some Keys of Light and Night to fight the evil biome mimics. The Crimson Mimic drops the Life Drain, which is a useful crowd control weapon that can boost our life regeneration when it targets enemies. I have fun trying out our new weapons, and with amazing luck, the Life Drain drops on our first Mimic. And you know I farm the rest of the Mimics for loot before moving on. Next, it's time to place down all these tombstones I've been collecting to place the Dryad in a graveyard biome. This allows me to buy Corrupt Seeds, as we're about to make an artificial corruption biome. You've seen me make these before. Just blast open a huge area, make a fishing spot, and then some rows of terrain for mobs to spawn on. Firstly, I need a Star Cloak from a regular Mimic, which will allow me to upgrade a Mana Flower to a Mana Cloak, increasing our damage and mana regeneration. Then I need to catch some Ebenkoi to make Wrath Potions for a 10% boost to our damage. I also want to fight Corrupt Mimics to get the Klinger Staff, which is a nice support weapon. They really don't spawn too often, but I farm a ton of loot while I'm waiting, as we're going to need lots of cash for reforging soon enough. And finally, the Klinger Staff drops as we head back to the surface. The next morning, while I was sorting my loot, the goblins decide to spawn, which gives me the opportunity to get yet another mage weapon, the Shadowflame Hexdoll. The Shadowflame Hexdoll drops from the hard mode Goblin Warlocks and is an excellent crowd control weapon. Thankfully, the Warlocks spawn fairly often, so the doll drops quickly, and then I pick on the poor goblins with my powerful new toy. All that's left is to craft the Mana Cloak and sell a bunch of loot before visiting the Golem for him to destroy more of my items, as Stage 3 is complete. Stage 3 was huge, and our mage got a ton of overpowered items, getting us ready to destroy the hard mode bosses. I have the Spirit Flame, Orange Zappinator, and Meteor Staff as my main damage weapons, with the Life Drain, Golden Shower, Nimbus Rod, and Klinger Staff as my support weapons. I've decided to pass on wings for now to focus on more damage accessories, with the Mana Cloak and Sorcerer Emblem giving me tons of mana to keep my DPS super high. Finally, I added the Adamantite headgear and Forbidden Treads for a mixed set, making us a total glass cannon. I want to give a quick honorable mention to the Adamantite breastplate, which adds 14 more defense but loses a 6% critical chance over the Mystic Robe. I think you should use it if you're having trouble surviving, otherwise go for more damage. Lastly, there is so many mage weapons in this stage, I couldn't fit them all into my hotbar, so if there's a weapon you think I should have included, just let me know in the comments below. Stage 4 is here and it's time to unlock a ton of upgrades from the hard mode bosses. If you're a fan of our OP series, you know exactly which hard mode boss I'm after first, so I start this stage by catching some truffle worms in the mushroom biome. That's right, we're going to challenge Duke Fishron straight away to get our hands on the massively overpowered bubble gun and razor blade typhoon. But before that, I swing past base to craft a pair of pixie wings and grab my Brain of Confusion and Shield of Cthulhu for some much needed evasion against the speedy Duke. After setting up an arena at the ocean, I cast out our fishing line and summon our first hard mode boss. I lower Fishron's defense with Golden Shower and then start blasting away at it with our Spirit Lamp. Our Nimbus Rod is cast up high to add constant damage while I dodge around, and I make sure to cast the Clinger Staff to inflict Curse Flame debuff for more damage over time. As Fishron goes second form, I swap to my Orange Zapinator so I can stay further back while still dealing some big damage. The screen goes dark as the final form begins, and I quickly realize I'll die unless I focus on dodging, so I swap back to our Spirit Lamp with its homing attack. I think this was the right choice, as soon enough Fishron explodes into fish nuggets as I grab our treasure bag. I can't believe my luck, as out pops a Razor Blade Typhoon with a great modifier too. With my buff still active, I hop onto our new Shrimpy Truffle mount that gives a 15% damage boost when it touches liquid and summon another Fishron. The fight goes much smoother with the massive stat boost from our new equipment, so I farm a bunch more Fishrons until I get the bubble gun and Fishron wings before moving on. After reforging my bubble gun, we jump straight into the mech bosses. Our first mech boss is the twins, so I spray them with Ichor, and as soon as they start transforming into their second phase, I use my bubble gun to blow them to pieces. Our Razor Blade Typhoon is excellent against the Destroyer's many segments and probes, as it can hit multiple pieces at once, so the boss doesn't stand a chance against our OP Mage. Skeletron Prime is very evasive, however, so I just spray it with some Ichor and slowly take out the arms, with the head following soon after. I'd really like to tackle Plantera next to unlock the hard mode dungeon, but first I need to craft a pickaxe axe to mine Chlorophyte, a set of hallowed armor for some more defense, and then craft a celestial emblem for even more damage. After finding a bulb in the jungle, I get to work using cylinders of block eruption to clear out a tall arena for the fight. With the arena prepared, I smash the bulb and prepare for battle. I douse the plant in Ichor and then unleash a barrage of bubbles as I fly circles around it. Once the second form begins, I fall back and spam my Razor Blade Typhoon against the tentacles, but realize our bubble gun is so OP, I just blast Plantera directly and quickly destroy it. In the treasure bag, we score the Nettle Burst, adding another magic weapon to collect, as well as the key to the temple. Defeating Plantera unlocks a lot of new upgrades for us, but first I have some quick side missions to complete, starting with maxing out our health. I smash my way through the jungle, mining up Chlorophyte ore and collecting every life fruit I can find. And yes, don't worry, I make sure to throw one in the ether and get the Aegis fruit for another 4 defense. Oh my god, why do they always get stuck? Next, I visit the spider's nest near the Hallow to farm some black recluses. This achieves 2 goals. Firstly, I'd like to get a poison staff to upgrade to a venom staff for its powerful toxic venom debuff. Being near the Hallow also allows mobs to drop the hallowed key, which unlocks the rainbow gun in the dungeon, a powerful secondary weapon. Biome keys only have a 1 in 2500 chance of dropping, however, so I tried the King Slime trick to quickly summon a lot of mobs to grind, and sure enough it works as I see the hallowed key in my inventory. It's now time to visit the dungeon, and our main goals are to collect ectoplasm to craft spectre armor and pick up a few new powerful weapons. Then I unlock the hallowed chest to get the rainbow gun, and then spend some time making a farm in the dungeon so that enemies can spawn faster. I want to farm Diabolus, but I realize my dungeon doesn't have any tiled walls, which is the only wall type they'll spawn in front of. Thankfully, in the 1.4.4 update, we can now craft our own mob spawning walls from Shimmer, so it's not a problem. Soon enough, the Inferno Fork drops from a Diabolist, and it's time for some upgrades. Back at base, I craft a Naughty Present, upgrade our Poison Staff to a Venom Staff, and then make a stack of Spectre Bars. I then craft the Spectre Armor with both hoods, which gives me the ability to swap helmets and heal during the boss fights if necessary. That night, I take a bug net into the Hallow and catch some Prismatic Lace Wings. You might have guessed it by now, but there's still even more weapons we can get in this stage, and I'm after the Stellar Tune from the Empress of Light, which has a 5% drop chance. After collecting a few butterflies, I promptly destroy one to summon the Empress of Light. I start the fight by debuffing her with Ichor, Toxic Venom, and Hellfire to increase my damage, and then focus on dodging her attacks while firing my Razor Blade Typhoon. Things were going really well until my lack of a Cobalt Shield bites me in her second form as I lose most of my health getting stunlocked, but thankfully I barely finish her off before I get killed. I rip open the treasure bag and get the Night Glow and Soaring Insignia, which might come in useful. The next night I keep farming more Empresses with our Night Glow until the Stellar Tune drops as we move on to the last part of this stage. After sorting all my loot, I visit the mechanic to buy a wrench, some wire, and a bunch of actuators as I'm going to make a modification to my arena. Our last mission is to fight the Frost Moon for the Blizzard Staff. The Blizzard Staff drops from Ice Queens, which means I want to get to the last waves as quickly as possible. A small pit for the trash mobs to fall into will make it easier for me to quickly mow through the early waves by grouping them together for easy destruction. Our new Stellar Tune allows me to keep my distance from the highly damaging Everscreams and Santa NK1s while still dealing a ton of damage. Once the Ice Queen starts spawning, I make sure to hit it with tons of debuffs before using my rapid-firing razor blades to keep up with the elusive boss. I die a few times because we're a total glass cannon, but eventually a queen drops our prize as I happily grab the blizzard staff as it falls from the sky. The next day, it's time to sell my mountain of loot before visiting the evil goblin to get the best modifiers on all our OP weapons as Stage 4 is complete. Stage 4 had a ton of new upgrades for our OP Mage, including the Stellar Tune, Bubble Gun, Razorblade Typhoon, Night Glow, and Rainbow Gun, all with the mythical modifiers. We also crafted a suit of Spectre armor with both headpieces and a pair of Fisheron wings plus the Celestial Emblem. The final stage is here and everything in the game is now available to us to become a completely overpowered mage. I unlock the temple and crash my way through it, grabbing all the loot I can get my hands on as I destroy the poor lizards getting in my way. Eventually the temple opens up into one of the largest golem chambers I've ever seen, so I quickly get to work setting up an arena for our next boss battle. With the arena set up, I quickly cast my support spells before summoning everyone's favorite punching bag. I quickly blast it with Ichor before rotating through our strongest weapons. Our DPS is climbing towards 10,000 and we're not even close to finished with our build. Golem's second form begins and our bubble gun excels at dealing with large single targets, so I quickly take it out and grab the treasure bag. We snag the next magic weapon, a heat ray, and this is the perfect opportunity to farm a bunch of golems for even more loot. With the last golem defeated, we get a ton of loot, including a few sunstones, a pick saw, and a new magic weapon with the Staff of Earth. Escaping the temple, I return to base to work on our next goal, a new weapon and a pair of leggings. After grabbing an Eternia crystal from my base, I head to our main arena and summon the Old One's army. With Golem defeated, we've unlocked tier 3 of the event and we can challenge Betsy, the final boss in wave 7, for the best debuff weapon in the game, Betsy's Wrath. The first few waves are fairly easy, especially with our new Staff of Earth that is perfect for the Old One's army with lots of enemies lined up in a row. The ogres can be really dangerous, so I debuff them and then use our Blizzard Staff to quickly take them down before they take my attention off the other mobs for too long. Finally, Betsy spawns and I immediately get to work attacking the giant beasts. Wave 7 is a DPS race as the normal mobs keep spawning, so if you take too long to defeat Betsy, the crystal is likely going to explode. I almost get killed in the fight, so I desperately swap to my Spectre hood to heal up, and that gets me over the line as Betsy crashes to the ground and we clear the event. Unfortunately, I don't get Betsy's Wrath from the treasure bag, so that means we're going in for round 2. But you know the deal by now, and the fight against Betsy goes much smoother this time, which I'm grateful for. After collecting any stray loot, I open up the next treasure bag and out pops Betsy's Wrath. Back at base, I visit the Tavern Keep and buy a pair of Dark Artist leggings for a massive power boost. We're ready to start the path to the Moonlord now, so I head straight for the dungeon to take on the Lunatic Cultist. I don't waste any time trying to debuff this boss as it's immune to basically everything except whip debuff, so it's a straight DPS race. I try out a few different weapons, but our Stellar Tune, now with over 100% critical chance and its rapid homing attack, is a boss-killing machine. The Cultist doesn't stand a chance against our OP Mage, and as it falls, a Vortex Pillar spawns right near me, but we're not hanging around to fight it yet. If you haven't guessed it yet, I'm heading straight for the Nebula Pillar as we got some powerful weapons available to us right now, and we only need to take out this pink menace to get them. The Razorblade Typhoon is a fantastic weapon for the Celestial Pillars as it has one of the strongest homing abilities in the game and it moves rapidly. I've hung on to my Spectre leggings and hood as it allows me to swap armor mid-fight when I need to quickly heal up, which is extremely useful for a glass cannon build like ours. With the Pillar's shield destroyed, I quickly take it out and grab a nice chunk of fragments for our prize. Back at base, I craft the Nebula Blaze and Nebula Arcanum, which are the strongest Mage pre-hard mode Lord weapons we can get. After reforging our new toys, I head straight back to the pillars to take out the Vortex and Solar Pillars, leaving the easier Stardust Pillar for last. We deal so much damage now, most mobs die in only a few hits, so I just play it safe and heal up as necessary as the pillars are down in no time. Before we take on the Moonlord, I need to prepare an arena for the ultimate battle. I'll be using the Shrimpy Truffle against the Moonlord, so I prepare some honey columns to fly through during the fight to get the Fisheron buff and the honey buff for regen. But it wouldn't be a Happy Days video if I didn't almost forget something, and we can still get even stronger before the Moonlord. Returning to the punching bag, I grab an Eye of Golem to craft the Destroyer emblem to switch with my Fisheron wings. Then I quickly smash through a Solar Eclipse to grab a Moonstone to craft a Celestial Shell to replace my Terra Spark boots. Lastly, in the light of a full moon, I hunt werewolves for a moon charm. All that's left is to craft a Destroyer emblem and a Celestial Shell, and then visit the Ancient Manipulator to upgrade my greater healing potions to super healing potions. I zoom out for the last pillar in preparation for our Moonlord fight. We quickly dispatch the Stardust enemies, and once the pillar's shield falls, we blast it with our Nebula Blaze. There's barely any time to grab the fragments before returning to my Moonlord arena and refreshing my buffs to await impending doom. The battle begins with me immediately flying ahead of the Moonlord and casting some Nimbus clouds for extra damage. Mage. I usually like to whittle down the forward eye first so I don't spawn too many true eyes of Cthulhu at once, but our Nebula Blaze is a little tricky to control, so I just go wild. It doesn't take long before the core opens up, so I debuff it and blast away, and soon enough the Moonlord is defeated. The fight went well and my health didn't get too low, but I think if we're going to call our Mage truly OP, we need to show the Moonlord the true power of the Nebula armor and Last Prism, and I have just the way to do it. The next day I grabbed some mob spawning statues I collected during our adventure and set them on a platform. I built a bubble around the platform and fill it with honey so I have constant regen buff during the battle, and all that's left is to max out our equipment. So what is the ultimate build for mages in Terraria? I spent some time grinding the pillars and Moonlord to find out. I smashed through the pillars a few more times and now I have a full set of Nebula armor with the Last Prism and Lunar Flare, both with mythical modifiers. Our final accessories are the Celestial Shell, Magnet Flower, and the Celestial Destroyer, Avenger, and Sorcerer emblems, all with the Lucky modifier. This OP Moonlord fight begins with casting the Nimbus Rod, Rainbow Gun, and Klinger Staff to deal with the statue mobs, whilst I grab all the platform in the honey and turn on the statues. Our Nebula armor set bonus spawns stat boosting Nebula buffs right on top of me. With such incredibly high damage, the Moonlord's eyes melt in mere seconds, and then after blasting the core with Ichor and Curse, I obliterate it with the power of the Last Prism as we truly give the Moonlord the OP treatment. This was so much fun to max out our character at each stage of the game. We've now done Mage and Ranger, and our next class will be Melee, so let me know your favorite melee weapons in the comments below. Also, if you have other ideas for equipment builds at the various stages in this video, please leave a comment with your very own OP Mage build. I had a total blast making this video, and if you enjoyed it too, please smash the like button and consider subscribing for more fun videos like this. And here's the most important part as always, you'll stay happy and I'll see you soon. This is HappyDays signing out. See ya!